In 2020, when we were all inside avoiding exposure to a certain virus I wish never freaking existed, I first stumbled across a particular type of video on YouTube, one I gravitated towards because of the arguments being presented and the stories being told, all the while being backed up by interesting tidbits of information and history, with said genre being video essays. Nexpo, Barely Sociable, The Right Opinion, Employment, and D'Angelo Wallace were just a few of the video essayists I really enjoyed watching, and among the myriad of channels I binged during this period was SunnyV2, who was making content I found to be pretty interesting with his rise and fall series on various creators and public figures. Obviously what he was doing wasn't anything new. Creators like The Right Opinion and Jay Aubrey were also successful making similar kinds of videos, but I think the reason I liked SunnyV2 was simply because I felt like his content was yet another solid product, from the editing to the storytelling, and even if his content wasn't 100% original, which I don't think any form of art is, including YouTube videos, he was most certainly carving out a niche for himself, and has successfully done so with there being lots of channels that take some sort of inspiration from him. Despite his massive success as a video essay or commentary type of channel, nowadays I find myself not really checking into the latest SunnyV2 video like I used to due to his content no longer resonating with me in any way. And one reason I'm no longer a fan of his channel is because at some point I felt like his content was starting to progressively feel manufactured and soulless. At the end of the day though, that's just my opinion, and millions of people still tune in weekly to his content, meaning there is a market for his style of video. And also, don't get it twisted, I definitely respect what he's been able to build from the ground up, and I still believe objectively he makes solid, well edited, well written, easy to digest content, thanks to him having hired a team to not only help improve the quality of his videos but also pump them out weekly. Now I want to make it clear that I don't despise his channel, nor do I think he should be cancelled or anything crazy like that, and although there are some videos of his that I have negative feeling towards that I'll touch on a bit later, overall what I want to analyze in this video is this genre of mass-produced, fast food-like video essays, as Pinely puts it, and in order to do so I think it's important to define what makes a good video essay. I don't know if you guys know, but I kinda got some merch in the description is below for the link. If you know, then you know, you know. Now listen up, I don't care if it seems like I'm glazing, bro. My goats for video essays are Nexpo and Employment. What I think they both excel at is the amount of research they do, and they also go into as much detail as necessary to support their claims when drawing connections, forming opinions, presenting arguments, etc. Employment, for example, just has really well written scripts, and bro just like seamlessly like relates everything, and you know what I'm saying, he just like interweaves everything to like his main idea, main argument. I think another thing that makes a good video essayist is the ability to make you care about something that you may not even give a frick about. Like, bro, listen up, bro. I have not watched a single NASCAR race in my whole entire life, but best believe I watched his 1 hour video essay about Talladega, bro. Nexpo pretty much does the same thing for me, but on top of his ability to efficiently break down whatever topic he's talking about, his minimalist and sleek and cool and smooth and suavemente bésame, yo quiero sentir tus labios besándome otra vez suavemente type of editing style. And of course with headphones, bro, like, bro, you got to listen, you got to watch Nexpo's videos with headphones on, bro. You have to, bro. Like, he just does such a great job at making you feel like you're in the world of whatever he's talking about, bro. He could be talking about a Reddit mystery, he could be talking about freaking PS1 games, he could be talking about the Walton Files. Don't matter, bro. You feel like you're in that world, bro. You feel what I'm saying? Especially that paranoia video, bro. Oh my gosh, I remember watching that paranoia video the moment he put it on his Patreon, and I was just like, bro, I was entrenched in that world, and the audio was just so good. Bro, I'm low-key heated because my camera freaking just died, but obviously you can't see that because, you know, the power of editing. And when it comes to their videos, they both go super in-depth into whatever they're talking about, and I actually get the sense that they actually freaking care about the video, the topic, and what they're like freaking making, which is like nice. It's very nice, you know what I'm saying? I'm not sure if either of them have a team behind them, and usually they take their time to upload their videos because they don't want to just upload anything, and they upload videos to take something from. And because of this care for the quality of their content, to me at least, by the end I feel like I learned something new. Nutrients for the brain, if you will. Non-fast food like videos. Get that McDonald's video essay, daddy. Get them Burger King video essay, daddy. Get them Wendy's video essay, daddy. Get them Taco Bell video essays out of here. Now, I just want to say, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with fast food-like content. Just like with actual fast food, it's not a bad, horribly, I mean, it's bad for you, but it's a relatively solid, quick bite to eat or whatever. Anyways, point is, the premise of your average SunnyV2 video is pretty easy to grasp. And say what you will about his thumbnails, he's managed to craft a recognizable style that pulls in millions of views. On top of this, his videos are straight up eye candy. Every freaking second, there's some fancy visual meant to keep your eye glued to the screen for as long as possible. However, despite how pretty his videos may look on the outside, I think it's important to remain critical of the meat and bones of what he presents. Exhibit A, beloved YouTubers who died as legends. Now, I'll be honest, I got inspiration to make this video from a channel going by the name Nomad, whose content I highly recommend you check out. Towards the end of his video titled Good YouTuber versus Bad YouTuber, he brings up this very video by SunnyV2 and makes some points I definitely agree with that I'm gonna piggyback off right now. A lot of SunnyV2's videos are formatted pretty similarly, in a list type of style, of course picking and choosing whatever makes for the most compelling stories, most interesting content. In Nomad's video, he goes over how SunnyV2 went about covering the passing of Lao Shu 55,000 and how it was portrayed in a suspenseful and mysterious type of way. Watching the video for myself, I've gotta agree. Sunny of course starts this section off by introducing Lao Shu, his channel, the fact that he was fluent in over 50 languages, which is actually inaccurate. To be brief, being fluent in a foreign language is to speak it accurately and with ease. And from what I've read, with the majority of the languages he would pick up, his goal wasn't really ever to speak it perfectly with 100% accuracy, but rather to get to a conversational level, be able to form new connections and speak with people from other cultures. That's where his love for language learning comes from. On July 18th, 2019, a Reddit thread about Lao Shu was made in the r/language learning subreddit, and I think this thread gives us an interesting look into the negative things people had to say about him because of the fact he didn't speak most of the languages he studied with 100% accuracy, with the top reply pretty much saying he's a total and utter fraud and that he's not fluent in any second language. However, another user points out what I believe is the beauty in his content and the way he goes about language learning. They basically say regardless of whether or not he has any depth in his languages, the fact that he's even able to reach a basic level of fluency is pretty impressive, and I think this is one of the reasons his channel resonated with so many language learners. Also, while I was doing research for this section of the video, I found a blog made in tribute of Lao Shu titled Remembering Lao Shu the Imperfectionist Polyglot, written by Misha Wilmers, and I think this blog highlights some of the things that make his approach to language learning so special. Misha writes about how something that often afflicts the language learning community is perfectionism and needing to speak with 100% accuracy from day one. Quote, the reason he was so popular and an inspiration to thousands of people around the world was that he exuded a laid-back attitude that directly contradicted the message that mistakes are a sin for which you should be penalized. Lao Shu felt unashamed of making mistakes and did so in public frequently. His mission was to engage in meaningful communication with native speakers in dozens of different languages, and as his videos prove, he often succeeded spectacularly. Misha goes on to give Lao Shu the flowers he deserves for his ability to make meaningful and memorable connections through his use of foreign languages, how he would show that through his videos, which would go on to inspire people to not be such sticklers for perfection, and talk about how on language forums a small minority of people would nitpick his errors, which Misha would go on to say, quote, in my opinion, this is an entirely worthless sport. Lao Shu offered a powerful antidote against it, and through his videos leaves us with a permanent reminder of what language learning looks like at its joyful best. For that, he will sorely be missed. I believe that as a result of Sunny not accurately portraying what made Lao Shu and his content so special, he fails to properly pay tribute to him, which is what his video is on the surface, a tribute to various YouTubers who unfortunately passed away. As a matter of fact, instead of making sure he's representing a creator who has passed away correctly, he decides to take the sensational route with his coverage of Lao Shu's passing, and I'll go over what I mean by that in a bit, but first I want to show you the actual clip of SunnyV2's coverage of Lao Shu.
In the very same year, we lost Lao Shu 55,000. Moses McCormick taught himself to speak over 50 languages fluently, then talked to random native speakers who were always extremely shocked. These videos helped Moses to gain 1 million subs. However, in May 2020, Lao Shu's brother Mark, who often appeared in the videos, uploaded his own video titled Warning Video to Lao Shu Family, Friends and Fans, Moses is not safe. In the video, Mark explained that Lao Shu had begun a new relationship with a girl who he believed was acting very strangely.
I don't know this girl, and she came out of nowhere, and she's an ex-federal agent.
The video was especially concerning after this was also said,
we have to pray for Moses right now. He is not well. She actually has been manipulating him, and he is not well. He's not well.
And while this could have been dismissed as an overprotective brother, Lao Shu died unexpectedly only 9 months later. The cause of death was supposedly a heart attack, yet Lao Shu's brother didn't buy it for a second.
And it would be a damn lie to tell the world that he died of a heart attack.
He'd upload a new video believing Lao Shu was murdered by his girlfriend.
In 2020, I shared my concern regarding being associated with that new girl that nobody knew.
Also starting an online fundraiser which read, "My brother didn't have any chronic illness and never complained to me about heart issues. When I seen the condition of his body, I immediately knew he was killed, yet Lao Shu's girlfriend responded to the claims by calling them baseless conspiracy theories. So exactly what happened is for your own conclusion, but the assassination of Christina Grimmie is much more cut and dry.
So maybe you think I'm overreacting, bro, or that I'm harping on this point way too freaking much, bro, and that, you know, from the clip I just showed you, you don't see anything wrong with SunnyV2's coverage, and fair enough, that's completely fine. Until I realized the cause of Lao Shu's death isn't as open-ended as Sunny made it seem, because, you know, SunnyV2 was like, so exactly what happened is for your own conclusion. Why you be speaking like that? Now, a lot of articles and sources say that Lao Shu had passed away due to heart complications, but they don't really get any more specific than that. And so I decided to look for answers and started digging through his brother Mark's channel called Deception Stoppers, and in a video published May 27th, 2020, he mentions a woman who appeared on Lao Shu's channel who Mark says worked for the FBI at some point, going by the username The Language Bay 55,000. It turns out she was Lao Shu's fiance, and on her channel, I noticed a couple of videos of someone explaining the passing of Lao Shu. The man in question goes by the name Fuji Man, and this is where things start to get interesting. Now, there's a lot we can unpack here, so before we dive into anything, I want to set the stage for you. Mark, through his various videos, spreads the narrative that Lao Shu didn't die because of a mere heart attack or any sort of heart complications, but rather claims he was murdered, and Fuji Man, who has been best friends with Lao Shu for more than 20 years, seeks to debunk all of the misinformation being spread by Mark in regards to Lao Shu's passing. From the videos I've watched, Mark has provided little to no evidence to any of his claims. Digging through Fuji Man's videos, however, he actually provides some evidence. On August 23rd, 2021, Fuji Man uploaded a video titled "Proof Mark McCormick is Lying Again About the Passing of Lao Shu 55,000 by Direct Evidence and Family." And if you ask me, this video right here pretty much sets the record straight in terms of Lao Shu's passing and debunking Mark's lies, so allow me to break it down for you. The first piece of evidence to take note of are these screenshot conversations between Mark and Fuji Man. You remember how Mark claims that Lao Shu was murdered? Well, here to the right, we can see Mark attempting to further push that narrative, saying he has blood coming out of his eyes, nose, and mouth. Furthermore, in a video published February 13th, 2022, Fuji Man showcases even more screenshots, and in these, we can see that Mark claims to have photos of Lao Shu in said condition. However, Fuji Man has never seen these photos, nor have they ever surfaced. Moreover, in this video proving Mark is lying, Fuji Man mentions that Lao Shu's funeral was streamed live on Facebook and was open casket for the duration, and this claim does indeed check out, as there's a Facebook page called Streaming Funeral Services with footage of the whole funeral. On top of us being able to see his face lacking any sort of bruises, cuts, or anything, multiple family members including Lao Shu's cousin and mother echoed the same sentiment, that there was absolutely nothing indicating he had been attacked, murdered, or that there was any makeup or anything applied to cover whatever wounds would be there. Finally, Fuji Man shows off Lao Shu's official autopsy report, where the manner of death is stated to have been natural causes, with the cause of death being arteriosclerotic and hypertensive cardiovascular disease. And lastly, underneath where it says identifying marks, scars, and tattoos, nothing else besides the tattoo located on his upper arm is mentioned, meaning no major bruises, wounds, or cuts were found. SunnyV2's video sits at over 3 million views, meaning unfortunately millions of people aren't aware of how Lao Shu's story truly goes. Now, I want to make it clear that I didn't go into absolutely everything regarding his story, such as Mark's deceptively and selfishly made GoFundMe or any of the legal stuff going on, but with SunnyV2 having a massive platform, I believe it's imperative to tell these stories accurately and with care. Something true Fuji Man brought up is that there's virtually no mainstream media outlet that has covered all of the nuance in Lao Shu's story to the extent that he has, meaning SunnyV2 is the most mainstream and recent coverage of Lao Shu to my knowledge at least. I feel like SunnyV2 saying whatever happened regarding Lao Shu's passing is for our own conclusion is such an ignorant thing to say, and the fact that SunnyV2 didn't even mention Fuji Man or the fact that Mark's story is a bunch of bullcrap just goes to show how SunnyV2 seems to care more about getting his interesting story for his weekly video as quickly as possible, rather than honestly paying tribute to someone who has made an impact on many people. And perhaps you think this isn't that big of a deal and that I'm getting way into the weeds or whatever, but I seriously think the fact that a channel like SunnyV2 can get away with spreading misconceptions and potentially influence a narrative can be scary, especially if the information to properly tell the story is a bit obscure in the grand scheme of things. Going to the description in SunnyV2's video, we can see that he was inspired by freaking watching watch Mojo, bruh. Specifically the video titled 10 YouTubers Who Die Too Soon, a video that was massively disliked and heavily criticized for the manner in which they covered the creators in said video. On top of that, it was uploaded not too long after the passing of Technoblade and even featured both him and Etika, another creator who sadly passed away, in the thumbnail, clearly an attempt to get as many views as possible since the topic was still fresh. And it turns out Sunny pretty much copied their thumbnail too. It looks like SunnyV2 actually changed the initial thumbnail. I'm not sure when this happened. I'm not sure when the thumbnails changed to which or whatever, but you can see the both thumbnails and they look the exact same, bro. Like, what the freaking heebie? To wrap things up, I don't think Sunny's coverage of Lao Shu was malicious in any way. However, it was a bit irresponsible because by him not doing proper research to an extent, I believe he's unknowingly contributing to the spread of Mark's confusing and deceptive narrative. And because of Mark spreading his lies, he profited off of Lao Shu's passing through his GoFundMe. Taking a look at his GoFundMe, it says, quote, "My brother didn't have any chronic illness and never complained to me about heart issues. We need answers and cannot allow this to be covered up. The contributions from this fund will aid in gathering evidence, independent forensic reports, expert medical reports, expert medical testimony, private investigator fees, subpoenas, and other fees associated with the investigation." And as we know, objectively, Lao Shu did indeed pass due to heart complications, once again because of arteriosclerotic and hypertensive cardiovascular disease. And no substantial evidence to imply Lao Shu was murdered ever came out on Mark's end. And as a matter of fact, Mark played no part in getting Lao Shu's official autopsy report as seen in Fujiman's video, and Mark's misinformation spread through his videos have overall gained more attention than Fujiman's, who was working closely with Lao Shu's family during all of this. This is pretty much all I have to say about Sunny's coverage of Lao Shu, and before I move on to anything else, I just want to give my condolences to the friends and family of Moses McCormick. I now want to talk about another type of SunnyV2 video that I have an issue with said type of video being his hit piece type of videos. The subjects of these hit pieces are, of course, usually portrayed negatively. And normally Sunny makes the argument that they're falling off, and they're either gonna fall off or have fallen off, or will fall off or blah 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 because of this, that, and the third, and blah 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 blah. Yada 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 yappy yappy yap. Crikey mate, the downfall of Joe Mama. And there's a few notable examples of these kind of videos that have been criticized by other channels, such as his videos about Quebblecop or Dream. And SunnyV2 may be correct in his evaluation of a channel's health in the sense that some of the creators he has covered have indeed fallen off. Like for example, if you look at Quebblecop's channel, you can see he doesn't get the same amount of views as he did just a year ago or even earlier on in his career. Now I don't want to go into each and every single one of his freaking hit piece videos because we'd be here for like a whole nother motherfucking hour covering all the nuance, covering all the little things that are incorrect. Blah. No, I'm not doing it, bro. I'm not doing it, bro. And also I feel like I'd just be beating a dead horse because like every single other video that talks about Sunny and criticizes him or whatever pretty much brings up these kinds of videos, whether it's about creator A, creator B, creator C, you name it. However, I will say that one of the biggest issues with these kinds of videos is that he pretty much creates a narrative in his head, right? Like for example, you know, how Joe Mama lost 100% of her audience. He takes any information that may seem to be relevant to his argument and he just stuffs it in there, bruh. The hit piece video that I want to go over in this video is his one about Skeppy, since I think this situation and this back and forth between Skeppy and SunnyV2 was pretty interesting because Skeppy did respond and he made actually a pretty good response, and let's dive into it. To start things off, I want to talk a little bit about who Skeppy is. He's a creator who mainly makes content revolving around Minecraft, and he's made a lot of challenge videos bringing out audience members as well as other creators to participate in said challenges. And Sunny's video about him titled Why Skeppy's Career Has Been Dying, I'm gonna go over some of the arguments he makes, and when I cover Skeppy's response, I'll elaborate on a couple of these points more. But to begin with, he says that Skeppy's channel has been on the decline for multiple reasons. He scammed his fans and the winners of his contests. He had a falling out with another creator going by the name A6D. He apparently fakes his videos, and his proof is that Skeppy supposedly ordered 72 pizzas, but there was only 40 pizzas in a frame. Seems like kind of a nothing burger argument, but anyways. And lastly, SunnyV2 brings up that in an older video, Skeppy said the F slur. On paper, that all sounds bad, but Skeppy's response all but nullifies SunnyV2's arguments. And on top of setting the record straight, Skeppy makes some valid critiques of Sunny that I think will be worth discussing later on. Let's now go over Skeppy's response. First and foremost, the accusation of Skeppy being a scammer. On October 6, 2020, on the forums of a site called invadedlands.net, the site of a Minecraft server Skeppy actually owns, a user going by the name Zaxalt, whose in-game name is Zach Does Stuff, made a post pretty much saying he won. He should have gotten his prize money in 48 hours via PayPal but hadn't received anything in weeks, and questions if he got scammed. 2 years later, on May 19th, 2022, SunnyV2 would upload his video about Skeppy, presenting this post as evidence that Skeppy is a scammer. However, this user provides no proof that he'd been scammed, and if you think about it, literally anybody can say they've been scammed by him. Like, if I wanted to right now, I can go to Twitter and make a tweet saying that he freaking scammed me, but without any proof, my claims hold no merit, right? On top of this, on July 11th, 2022, the same day Skeppy's response video to SunnyV2 where he addresses these scammer allegations was uploaded, Zaxalt made a follow-up post saying the following, quote, "I won a Skeppy event, but it took a month for me to receive the prize money. I had the right to be concerned about what happened. However, I never confirmed I got scammed, but I explained I was pretty worried that I hadn't received anything yet. The way Sunny manipulated my post to make it seem like Skeppy scammed me and used it to try to turn people against him is so dumb." Furthermore, in Skeppy's response, he showcases not only a screenshot of his interaction with all of his contest winners, asking for their PayPal email, including Zaxalt, whose in-game name once again is Zach Does Stuff, but he also shows a screenshot of the PayPal transaction. The next and last thing I wanted to discuss is Skeppy's usage of the F slur. On top of everything else Sunny tries to use to portray Skeppy negatively, he brings up the fact that he previously said this slur, which of course is bad. However, given that it's not illegal or leads to something illegal or even physically assaulting someone or something like that, I believe it's important to not chastise someone for something inappropriate they may have said in the past, especially if they were younger or had already addressed and apologized for it, which Skeppy has indeed done. He's taken accountability and should be free to move on, yet SunnyV2 once again brings up this fact, attempting to muddy the water. Interestingly enough, in Skeppy's response, he of course went over how he already addressed this and has apologized for his use of slurs in the past, but he also brings up Sunny's use of the F slur, showcased in a clip from one of his old channels going by the name Might Have Sun. Skeppy talked about how SunnyV2 never addressed the fact that he said this in his video, and on top of this, he pointed out the hypocrisy in Sunny calling him out for having done the same thing, and this is the next point I want to touch on: the hypocrisy of SunnyV2. In the midst of Skeppy talking about how he addressed his use of the no word and Sunny's use of it as well, he brings up a now unavailable video posted by SunnyV2 titled "Stop Cancel Culture" and goes over some of the points he made in said video that would become hypocritical later on due to what his content would become. And before I move on, I want to show you this clip from said video.
But the internet was a totally different place back then. You can't pin someone for something that they said 8 years ago. It's a totally different YouTube landscape, political landscape, comedy landscape, and on top of this, a totally different level of maturity for the individual. Who better to support my claims than Keemstar himself talking about his own mistakes?
You know, it's funny he says all of this, yet fast forward a couple of years and we see Sunny not only trying to pin Skeppy for things he said years ago, but even for drama in situations that happened years ago, making Skeppy seem like a bad guy through his video, when in reality, if you were to do your research and seek to portray him honestly and accurately, you'd find that Skeppy really isn't that bad of a content creator as Sunny makes him seem, and this definitely shows through his response video. Another point Sunny brings up in his video is how context, relevancy, and intentionality is something that has, quote, gone out the window in current PC climate, and I agree with the sentiment that oftentimes these things are overlooked, especially context, and in the case of SunnyV2 calling out Skeppy, he indeed overlooks the context in which the word was used. Not that he should have used it at all, but he wasn't using it derogatorily towards the group of people said slur is meant to offend, but he was just on a voice call with some friends messing around playing Minecraft, yet Sunny fails to take this context into consideration when bringing the situation up. Lastly, there's another clip from the video I want to show you, so I'm now gonna let that play out for you.
That's one of the other big issues. You can frame whatever you want, however you want, if you know how to do it. And trust me, Keemstar knows how to do it very well. On top of this, does anyone feel like hate content on YouTube is at its highest that it's ever been before? Downfall videos, drama videos, cancellations, YouTube is exposed. I swear I can't go on YouTube these days without a solid chunk of my recommendations being someone making a mistake or someone getting cancelled.
I'm gonna share this with you guys because I don't give a frick if you guys care or not. You know what I'm saying? I didn't feel like ironing my shirt. I didn't feel like doing my hair. It's early in the morning. I usually don't record early in the morning. So that's why I got this hat and this vest on. You feel what I'm saying? I believe pretty much everything he said in this clip, he contributes to through his content. You can frame whatever you want, however you want, if we know how to do it. That was a terrible Australian accent. That could pretty much apply to like any one of his videos, right? If he has a video idea, whether negative or positive, all he has to do is just gather any relevant information, anything that's relevant to whatever he's, you know, cooking up right here in the brain, and then boom, that's a million views right there. You feel what I'm saying? Another thing he said in this clip that I thought was pretty freaking funny is when he said, does anyone else feel like hate content is the hardest I've ever been, crikey mate? And then you go take a look at his channel and it's mostly negative freaking content. Like, on top of that, he mentioned the prevalence of like downfall, cancellation type videos, mainly downfall videos, because ironically he pretty much started this downfall wave with like super high fancy editing type of videos with no freaking personality or nothing like that, bro. He pretty much started that wave, you feel what I'm saying? We got so many freaking SunnyV2 clones, it's not even crazy. I'm not gonna, you know, name names or nothing like that, but there are so many channels I be just seeing pop out the woodworks with a SunnyV2-esque thumbnail, and hey, that's that fancy editing and that same newscaster voice. So in this video, we are going to be talking about the downfall of your mom. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I have to say in this video, to be honest. You know, I wanted to talk about a lot more in this video. I wanted to go more in depth in the Skeppy thing. I wanted to talk about other content farm type of channels, because I said that in the beginning of the video, but I didn't really end up analyzing this type of content at all, so my fault for that. I'm sorry. This is pretty much all I have to say. Forgive me, you know, if this seems all abrupt and everything, but you know, I don't really do this full time yet, and if you'd like to help me do that, you can buy one of the shirts, or you know, help me out on Patreon, or even just, you know, go and watching my other videos. That helps too tremendously. You might be sleeping already, I don't know. You might be going on to another video, you might be going to sleep, or you might be touching grass. I don't know what the frick you're doing. I don't know why I'm still recording. Deuces.